Thank you so much. How are we doing tonight? Come on, how are we doing tonight? That's what I'm talking about. Although I have to admit, it's a little weird when I walk on stage here at Auburn and the first thing I hear is "Go Gators." I mean, someone's living right. That's what I'm talking about. No, what a blessing it is for me to be here, and honestly, for you to be here, for a university to have a leadership seminar, for all of you students and especially you freshmen to be able to have something like this, to be at a university where you are blessed to have this. And I want to thank the president for having me. I want to thank Delta Airlines for sponsoring it. Can we give them a hand? I do have to say that, I'm obviously not an Auburn Tiger, but I can admit when something is pretty cool, and what you guys are blessed to experience here is pretty cool. And even back to when I was at the University of Florida, and we would travel on away games to play different teams. If we would travel to Knoxville, it would be, for my family, miserable. If they would travel to LSU, they would have to have security. But when they would travel here to Auburn, it was crazy. My parents would find best friends, and they call it the Auburn family, and it's so true. It's like they would literally, the week before we would go play LSU, and I would have 10,000 death threats, and I'm not exaggerating, and my parents have to have security in the stands. And then we come here and they're expecting the same thing, and it's like, oh, you want some barbecue? Oh, we love you. We hope it's a great game, win or lose. And you're like, what? This is great. Is this the SEC? We're not sure. But honestly, it's the reputation and the Auburn family, it really is true. And coming back and working with the SEC and for ESPN, I've just been able to see that at this university and how the kindness is displayed every single weekend. And you're part of Auburn family, and hopefully that is something that you take to heart and you will continue, because it's more than just a reputation. It's something that you live out, and I think that's really special. And coming from a Gator, that's a pretty big compliment, to be honest with you guys. But actually, I almost wasn't a Gator. In 2005, when I was deciding where I was going to go be playing college football, we played for the state championship on December 12th, and on December 15th, I had to tell the world on live television on ESPN at 5 p.m. where I was going to be playing, except the problem is I had no idea. So we had narrowed it down to 5 schools at that point. Sorry, Auburn wasn't in it. It was Florida, Alabama, Michigan, LSU, and Southern Cal. So actually, Auburn didn't even recruit me. That's a whole other story. But so I narrowed it down to 5 schools, and we were blessed to win the state championship. And that night, I gathered all my family together, and we were like, okay, let's write out pros and cons of all 5 of these schools, and let's figure out what's the best school for me. And so we talk about Florida, and it's okay, I love Coach Meyer. He makes me believe in the program and what they're doing, and for some reason, I believe in him. And so let's keep Florida in. And then Alabama, I love the passion, I love the tradition. If you've ever seen me play, you know I'm passionate, and so let's keep Alabama in. And then it was like LSU. Well, LSU is cool and it's good, but LSU is like Alabama, but it's not as good. So we'll just narrow at LSU. And then it was like, okay, Michigan, they have some passion and tradition, but it's really cold, and the girls are just not as pretty, so we're going to narrow out Michigan. I like the clapping. And then it was Southern Cal, and I went there on the last game of the regular season, and they're playing their biggest rival, UCLA, crosstown rival, and USC is the #1 team in the country and just won a couple of national titles, and they have 2 Heisman Trophy winners, and Matt Leinart and Reggie Bush, and so I'm so excited. I'm on my official visit, and I go to their game, and first drive of the game, Reggie Bush runs a 31-yard touchdown, flips in the end zone, and I stand up, and I'm freaking out, dang, that was awesome. And I look around, and all the people there, they're clapping like this, and then they're do their fight song, and they're yeah. And I was like, well, there's no way in the world I'm gonna come here. I get to go to SEC games where people are losing their mind if you score a touchdown, and there's 30,000 empty seats in the stadium. So I was like, okay, we can narrow out, get rid of USC. We don't need them in there. So I was like, okay, Florida, Alabama, and I was like, okay, let's bring them. I have 2 more days, so let's bring each one of them to the house one more time. And so Alabama came first, and they spent about 15 hours at the house. So my mom, being a sweet Southern lady, cooked them breakfast, lunch, and dinner. And afterwards, when it was like 10:30-ish, she was like, listen, guys, if y'all want to eat again, there's a Cracker Barrel right down the street. And so Alabama left. The next morning, Florida came in, spent about 6 or 7 hours at the house. They left. And that night, the night of the 14th, me and my family sit down together, and I was so torn. I loved Florida, and I loved Alabama, and I had no idea where I was going to go. And so I say to my dad, I was like, Dad, I just really need your help. Please, would you help me? Just tell me, where am I supposed to go? I have no idea. Just please tell me. I'll go there. It's done. Just, Dad, where should I go? He says, Timmy, you know I love you. I said, of course, Dad, I know that. Dad, where should I go? He says, you know I've always trusted you, right? And I was like, yeah, Dad, I get it, but tell me where I'm supposed to go. And he said, Timmy, I trust you so much, and I know that you're going to make a great decision. He's like, yeah, thanks, Dad, but that doesn't help me. Actually, tell me where I'm supposed to go. I was like, fine, Dad. Mom, you tell me, where am I supposed to go? And she's just rubbing my dad's back, and she's like, Timmy, you know I'm with your father. Mom, come on, tell me where I'm supposed to go. Fine. Christy, Katie, Robbie, Peter, you guys know me. They're my older siblings. You guys know me better than Mom and Dad. You tell me where I'm supposed to go. So my older brother, Robbie, he pipes up, and he's like, listen, Timmy, you know we always got your back, right? And I was like, of course. And it's like, no matter what, thick or thin, we love you, we got your back. I was like, I got it. I was like, well, what about schools? Florida, Alabama? And he's like, Timmy, we trust you so much. We love you, and you're going to make a great decision. And now I'm like so mad. I'm like, but that doesn't help, guys. Someone just tell me, give me a hint, whisper it, write it down. Tell me where you think I'm supposed to go. And I was like, Dad, come on. And he was like, Timmy, well, why don't you just do this? Just go to your room, get on your knees, pray about it. And in the morning, I'm sure God will put it on your heart exactly where you're supposed to go. I was like, that's what I'm talking about. That's good parenting. So I go to my room, get on my knees, pray about it, and I wake up in the morning, and I have no idea where I'm supposed to go to school. So I'm just stressing about it, and I take my dog out by our lake, and I sit out there, and I pray all day, and I have no idea where I'm supposed to go. And I come back in at 3 o'clock, and I have to tell the world at 5 o'clock where I'm going. And so I type out my speech, and at the end of my speech, I have next year, I'll be playing football for the University of blank. And so I decided I'm going to run up to the school, I'm going to see my high school coach, and he's going to tell me exactly where I'm supposed to go. And so I get up there at about 4 o'clock, and Coach Howard, Coach, you've been with me for the last 3 years. You love me like a dad. Just please tell me I'm stuck. Florida or Alabama, where do I go? He said, Timmy, you know I love you like a son, right? You mean so much to me. And Timmy, I'll tell you what, I also trust you. And I know you're going to make a great decision. But Coach, that doesn't help. Just tell me, but which offense? Can you tell me which offense? And so now nobody would say a word. They wouldn't even speak to me because they didn't want to give away which one their opinion was. And now it's 4:30, and there's an auditorium a little bit smaller than this, and half of it is red and white for Alabama, and the other half is orange and blue. And everybody's like arguing back and forth and talking trash, and I'm outside getting ready to throw up, stressing about which team I'm gonna go with, which school I'm gonna go with. And finally my dad gets to school, and I was like, Dad, where do I go? And he's like, you still haven't made up your mind? And so now I have like 15 minutes before I have to go on stage, and I was like, Dad, just please help me. And he was like, okay, let's go back to your priority list. What's number one? And I said, it's the people. It's always the people, no matter what. It's the people you're going to be around. It's the people that I'll get to see, the people I'll get to interact with, the people I get to be mentored by. It's always the people. And he said, okay, I love it. That's perfect. That's great. That's right. But what if it was just one person? Who would it be? And I was like, what? I don't know. I've never thought if it was just one person. Tell me if it was just one person. Just one person at either one of the schools. who's the one person that you would pick? And I said, well, I love Coach Shula at Alabama, I really do, but if I had to just pick one person, I think it would probably be Coach Meyer at Florida. He said, okay, why? I said, because something about him makes me believe in what he's doing, and he makes me believe in myself. I was like, Dad, he told me yesterday, he said, you come play for me, you're going to win titles and you might win a Heisman. And when he tells me that, I believe him. It's real, it's genuine. It's not like the other coaches that they say big things, but they don't really mean it. They say that to everyone. Coach Meyer doesn't say that to everyone. I believe it when he says it to me. I believe in what he says. He said, well, if that's your number one priority, then there you go. And I said, all right, I'm going to Florida. So I pick up the phone to call Coach Shula because the right thing to do would be to tell him that I'm not coming to Alabama. And so I pick up the phone and I dial his number, and I'm really close with Coach Shula, and so I start to tell him that I'm going to Florida and I'm crying, and it's not the only time that Alabama made me cry. It's not that funny. Y'all know what I'm talking about. So I say, hey, Coach Shula, I'm so sorry, but I'm going to go to Florida. I'm not going to go to Alabama. And he says, Timmy, you stop right there. He said, I love you just as much now as if you came to Alabama. You're going to have a great career, and hopefully I get to coach you one day. And so I hang up the phone, and I look at my dad, and I say, that's the coach I'm supposed to play for. Like, I said I'm going to Florida, and he said he loves me. Like, that's who I'm supposed to. No. I'm going to go to Florida. So I dial Coach Meyer's number, and I'm kind of deep breath, and I'm wiping off tears, and he answers, and he doesn't know why I'm crying, and so he's kind of trying to figure it out. I'm getting ready to say, hey, Coach, I'm coming to Florida, and his phone goes dead. True story. And so I'm dialing it back, and it's going to his voicemail and the stupid BlackBerry that he had. And he's trying to get it turned back on, but they're literally pushing me on a stage like this onto the dais, and ESPN, everyone has it mic'd up, and they're counting down. It's 2 minutes till we're going live. You gotta go on stage. And I'm like, well, I don't know. And so they're literally pushing. So I walk on stage and I sit on the dais, and my family and coach and everybody's up here. And so they're micing me up, and ESPN's counting down from 2 minutes, and the Florida fans are doing, it's great to be a Florida Gator, and Alabama fans are doing, all the Alabama chants, and so they're miking me up, and they're counting down from a minute, and I go, Dad, I didn't actually tell Coach Meyer I'm going to Florida. I could still go to Alabama. And so all the ESPN people are down here that can hear me with my mic. They're like, what? Is this real? And so they're counting down. They finally get to 5, 4, 3, 2, 1, and they go live. And for this 3-minute interview, I have this smile on my face, and I look like everything is so great, and I'm so happy, and I'm not. It's agony in my head, and I'm going literally, as I'm answering the questions so blandly, I'm thinking back and forth in my head of exactly where do I want to go? What is the right place? And so finally, at the last second, when they ask me, and it feels like an eternity before I answer the question, I'm going back and forth of all the priorities, all the meetings, all the games, everything. And what I turned to the most was what my dad said to me of just one person. But why did I choose one person? Why did I choose the one person? And the reason that I chose that one person is because when he said something to me, I believed it. And when he said something about me, I believed it. When he said, you can reach greatness, I believed it. When he said, you will be great, I believed it. I believed in him, and I believed what he said. And so at the last second, I said, next year I'll be playing football for the University of Florida. And the reason I did that was because, not that I didn't think Alabama would be a great choice or any of those others, but I got the chance to be around a leader in Coach Meyer who made me believe in myself. And you see, guys, belief is something that is so powerful that it can transform a life. It can truly transform a life. A couple months ago, I got to hear this story from a man that was very powerful. And this young man was a senior in high school, and his whole life he had struggled in school. It never came easy to him. He wasn't a test taker. It was just so hard for him. He could not do good. Even when he tried, he couldn't do good. And so he was done. He was through. I'm going to quit. I'll never be able to go to college. I'll never be able to do anything. I'm just not qualified. I'm not equipped. I'm not good enough. I can't do it. So he decided, I'm going to start skipping school, skipping class. I'm going to probably try to find a job. And I'm just going to have to do that. I'm going to work with my hands the rest of my life. I'll never be able to live up to everyone else, to my peers. Look how the way they take tests. I could never do that. But he had one teacher, and she loved him so much, and she just begged him, please, don't skip. Come to class. I'll work with you. I'll tutor you afterwards. And then just please, 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 for me, would you just take the SAT? Would you just take it? And he's like, why? I'll do terrible. I'll fail. And she's like, you can't fail. But I'll fail. Just please, for me, after everything I've done for you for the last 4 years, would you please just take the SAT? And he said, fine, but just for you, I'll take the SAT. And this young man came from a very rough home where his parents were never supportive and they never believed in him. And even when he's walking out the door to go take the SAT because his teacher begged him to do it, his parents were saying, why are you going to take that test? You're never going to amount to anything. But anyways, he still goes and he takes the test and he feels like, gosh, I did terrible. I don't even know what I was doing. And a couple of weeks later, he gets it back in the mail, and this was when the test was out of 1,600. And he's at the kitchen table and he opens it up and he reads it. And he starts weeping because he reads that he got a 1480 out of a 1600. And he can't believe it, and he shows his mom, and the first thing his mom said, how did you cheat? How did you cheat? So he's like, whatever. So he runs to go find his teacher, and he finds her, and he shows her the letter. He got a 1480. And they start celebrating and crying together, and it's just such an incredible time. And so he decides, I'm going to devote myself to studying, to the classroom. I'm going to do this. I can do this. I'm equipped. I'm qualified. I'm worth it. Like, I can do this. And so he dedicates himself. He starts working, and he goes from failing at almost every single one of his subjects to getting an A or B at every single one of his subjects by the end of the year, which is only a couple more months. And so he finishes on this high note. He gets into a very prestigious university. While he's at university, he finds out that, hey, he really likes trying to be an entrepreneur. He loves the thought of really being able to start something. So he starts 2 different companies. While he's in college, he graduates. Those companies crush it. 10 years after he graduates college, he wins a huge prestigious award for being Entrepreneur of the Year. A few weeks after he wins that award, he's at his house with his kids and his wife and his whole family, and they're just celebrating. He gets a letter in the mail. He opens a letter and he starts to read it, and it's from the county that he grew up in. And it said that every year they go back and they look at all the tests to see if there's any mistakes. And it said, we're so sorry to inform you, but we made a mistake on your score. You didn't actually score a 1480. You really scored a 740. And he's reading this letter, and he starts sharing with his family and his wife, who knows the story, but his kids don't understand. And he's crying because he reads this and he realizes that this one mistake changed his life. Because that county made a mistake on his SAT score, his life is changed forever. Because it was true? No. Because he believed it. Because he believed it. Because some piece of paper told him he was smart. Because some piece of paper told him he was equipped. Because some piece of paper told him he was worthy. He believed it. And so he went on. Everything else he did, he crushed it. He dominated because one piece of paper and one teacher believed in him. My, how belief can change someone's life. My, how believing in yourself can change your life, but also the people around you. Guys, I've been blessed to be a part of some really good teams and even some really bad teams. Hashtag Jets. I mean, what? Did I say that? Sorry. But I've been part of some really good teams as well, and the one thing about the best teams that I've ever been on that was different than the rest was our ability to believe that we could accomplish something special together. No matter what the situation, good or bad in a game, up 20, down 20, we believed something special was going to happen. When I was playing for the Denver Broncos and we went on a run to have 6 or 7 comeback wins in a row, before one of those games, one of the best players on our team from the defensive side comes up to me in the stretch lines before the game, and it's an hour and a half before the game, and I'm just kind of messing around, stretching a little bit, and he comes walking up to me and a serious look on his face, and he said, "Hey, Teebs, what? Honestly, just tell me. Something special is going to happen tonight, isn't it? Like, what's going to happen? You know something sweet's going to happen." And I was like, "Dude, what are you talking about?" "I don't know." He's like, "No, for real. Dude, did you just see the last 6 games we freaking came from behind, like down like 15 every game?" He's like, "Something special is going to happen. What is it?" And I was like, "Dude, I have no idea. Like, go stretch." And he's walking away and he's like, "I got it. Something sweet's going to happen." I didn't know if anything was going to happen, but when you have a whole team of people that believe something special is going to happen, it's probably going to happen. When you believe that together you're going to accomplish something special, and I mean believe it, not hope it. Okay, hope's not a strategy. When you believe it, there's a lot of people that show up and they hope they're going to win, and there's other people that show up and they believe they're going to win. There's a huge difference. There's a lot of people that, man, they're going to show up and it's like, man, I hope that I can accomplish that. I hope I can get to that. I hope I can do this. I hope I can do that. But nothing in their life matches up from what they say to what they actually believe. But man, when you really believe something, your actions are going to match your words. If you really believe it. When I was 8 years old, my dad was gone for the whole summer. He's a missionary. He was a missionary, still is a missionary, and he was gone for the whole summer. My dad's always been my biggest hero and role model, and so he flies back into the States, and me and my mom meet him at the airport. We get in the car, and we're so excited. I'm so excited to see my dad and be able to hang with my dad, and we're driving home, and my dad pulls off one exit early into a Blockbuster, back when there were Blockbusters, and he tells me to wait in the car, and he goes inside. He comes back with the VHS, back when there were VHSs. Y'all have no idea what I'm talking about. He gets in the car, and I'm so excited. I'm like, "Dad, what'd you get? What'd you get?" He's like, "I'll tell you when we get home." So you can tell my dad has that grin that is something sweet, though, you know? And so we drive home, and we're sitting in the living room, and he sits me and my 2 brothers down on the couch. And of course, I'm sitting closest to the TV. And my dad stands up right in front of the TV, and he looks at me and my 2 brothers. And he kind of went from playing and having fun with us and wrestling to his mood kind of changed. And you could see it. And it kind of got serious and a little bit intense. And he looks at us, and he said, "Hey, boys, I just want you to know I love you so much. I do. I love you so much, and I would do anything for you. And I know that you all have goals, and you're ambitious, and you want to accomplish things in your life. And I feel like it's my job as your dad to give you an edge, to give you an advantage, so that you will be different, so that you won't be like everybody else, so that you will be contagious." So he said, "In a moment, I'm going to sit down and I'm going to hit play on this movie. And I want you to look at this man, the star of this movie, and whatever it is that you want to do, I want you to have love for it like this man. And whatever it is that you want to do, I want you to have passion like this man. And whatever it is that you want to do, I want you to be willing to sacrifice like this man. Because if you do, you will be contagious, you will be different, and people will want to be around you. So he sat down, and he hit play on the movie Braveheart. And yes, it was a little much for an 8-year-old, I'll give you that. And my mom was like, Bob, what are you showing the kids? But instantly it became my favorite movie. Not just because I love the movie, it is an awesome movie, but because what my dad said. And how much I looked up to my dad and what he told me. But you know what? It wasn't just that one night. He would also remind me when he would be picking me up from camp or church or games or practices or dropping me off, and he would remind me, hey, Timmy, you really love what you do? I said, yeah, Dad, you know I do. You know I do. Hey, Timmy, are you passionate today? Dad, you know I'm passionate. You know, we could all watch a highlight video on one of these screens, and we could all get excited, we could get motivated, or we could get hyped. But you know what would happen when I got hit by a 300-pound lineman? I would no longer be excited, motivated, or hyped. But I don't care how hard I got hit, they could never take my passion. They could never take my passion. And you know, you'll have to go through times in your life where you're excited, you're motivated, and you're hyped, but you get knocked down. There's an obstacle. You fail at something. It doesn't go right. I.e., you get cut from 3 teams or traded from one. It doesn't go right. It doesn't go according to plan. Will they take your passion? Or is it real? Or even can you wake up and have passion in the midst of adversity? Can you have passion and love for what you do even when it doesn't go right? Even when you're losing? Even when you're failing? Even when it isn't fun at that moment? Can you still have passion? Because I'm just going to tell you, most of the world does not. And they will not. And so if you do, you will be different. You will be contagious and people will want to be around you. How many people do you know show up every day? They love what they do. They have passion for going to class or studying or grinding or starting a business or their nonprofit or their church or their friends. How many people do you know? I promise you can't name more than a handful. I promise you. But when you're around those people, you're like, dang, they're awesome. This is crazy. You see, if you also find that person that loves what they do, and they're passionate about something, I promise you they'll also be willing to sacrifice. I promise you they'll be willing to sacrifice. Because sacrifice doesn't come from, oh my gosh, I'm just a great person, I'm willing to sacrifice. No, sacrifice comes because I love you so much, I'll sacrifice for you. I'm so passionate about the cause, I'll sacrifice for it. You see, for me, it was easy to sacrifice for sports. I loved doing that. That was no problem. It was a joy to do because I loved it so much. Sure, I'll wake up in the middle of the night. No problem. I'll get up at 5 in the morning to train. I'll play with the broken leg. Why? Because I love it so much. I'm so passionate about it. I'm so passionate about it. And so my friends that would be half in or kind of half out on a team, and they're like, dang, why are you playing with a broken leg? Because I care that much. All right? You want to come? Let's go. But you better be willing to sacrifice too. Guess what? You know what, that next off season, they're like, dang, when we're training, I'm just going to go a little bit harder, okay? How many people can you think of that live like that? But you know what, guys? You don't wake up every day and feel like that. You don't. Because you're probably thinking, well, Timmy, if I found something that I love that much, I would feel like that. But I'm going to tell you, you don't always feel like that. But I'm going to encourage you, don't live by your emotions, live by your convictions. No one wakes up and feels like that every day. But I'm so grateful I don't have to live by my emotions. If I wake up and I'm hurting, or I don't want to get up earlier, I don't want to do this, I remember the goal set before me. And I focus on that. And so I live based on my convictions, not by my emotions. Because I have to focus on what I want most, not what I want right now. And how do we accomplish something great? It's because we keep our eyes set before us on the goal of what we want most, not what we want right now. And we focus more on our convictions than we ever do on our emotions, because your emotions are going to say, dude, why are you studying so hard? Dude, take a break. Why are you training so hard? Take a break. Doesn't matter that much. Take a break. You're fine. You're tired. You're doing more than anyone else. But your convictions say, but am I my best? Am I at my best? Can I keep going? Can I do even more? Can I do even more? Because my convictions of wanting to be the best that God has made me, to accomplish everything that I can, to live a life of meaning, of purpose, of significance, I can do more. See, for so much of my life, I loved and I was passionate and I was willing to sacrifice for sports. But then I met a boy with his feet on backwards that really changed my life, because he came from a village where people looked at him as cursed, as less than, as insignificant. And he changed my life, because after meeting him, my passion changed from just sports to fighting for people that can't fight for themselves. And in the intro, they shared a few things of what we were doing, but that changed my perspective of what really mattered. And I want to encourage you guys to never lose sight of what really matters. When I was a sophomore in college, I was blessed to win the Heisman Trophy, and it's such an awesome, prestigious award, and it really does change the way people look at you, because when they intro you, most of the time they intro you as a Heisman Trophy winner. And right after I won, I got invited to fly to Thailand to speak to all of the missionaries for one organization that had flown there from all over the world for a conference, and they invited me to come speak. And so I'm flying there, and I'm thinking, oh shoot, what did I get myself into? What the heck am I going to say to all these missionaries that are putting their life on the line for their faith every single day? And what do I have to share with them? But then I remembered one of my favorite quotes in scriptures is, the greatest among you shall be a servant. Whoever exalts himself will be humbled, and whoever humbles himself will be exalted. And so I had the opportunity to go and share with these missionaries who are serving. And they are great because they are serving the least of these. And I got to stand up and share with them that if the world could see them through God's eyes, they would be the ones winning the Heisman Trophy, not me. But then after I got to share with all of these missionaries, we go to a place where they're having these feedings for homeless and beggars. And we show up to this big just land, piece of property, and the line starts. And it goes to a place where I can't even see the end of. That's how many people are hoping that day they're going to have a meal, a piece of bread, some beans, something to eat so they won't starve. Most of them, if they don't get fed that day, are going to die. And so we're walking through the lines, and we're encouraging people, and we're sharing with people, and we're hugging people. And one of the locals, he comes and he grabs me, and he says in broken English, come with me, come with me. And so I'm kind of following him, and we get to about halfway up the line, and he points, and I can't tell what he's pointing to, and he pulls me up a little bit closer, and he points again, and I can't really see, so he brings me even closer, and then it kind of opens up. All the people open up, and I see this little beggar boy, probably around 10, 11 years old, and he's on the side of the street, in line, begging for food. And he's malnourished, and you can see every single bone in his face, in his neck, and his chest, because that's how malnourished and skinny he is. And he's wearing a tattered, beat up, ripped up, orange and blue, number 15, Tim Tebow, Florida Gator football jersey. And in that moment, everything is put into perspective of what really matters. Of what really matters. leaving there that, yeah, this trophy is awesome, and it's exciting, and they'll intro me this way for a long time to come. But if I leave people thinking that that's what I've done is won a trophy that's made of bronze, and I've fell short of what I'm meant to do, because it doesn't mean too much. Because someone bought that 15 jersey being excited about a football team. But for some reason, they got rid of it, and now a little boy is hoping that today's not going to be his last day, is wearing that jersey. It kind of puts things into perspective. When I was at the University of Florida, my freshman year, we were blessed to win a national championship. My sophomore year was blessed to win the Heisman. My junior year, we were blessed to win another national title. And going into my senior year, our goal was to be the best ever. Won 3 out of 4 national championships. At that time, very few teams had ever done it. When we got together, we broke it down to best ever. We had shirts and shorts that said it. We embraced it. We believed in it, and we wanted to accomplish it. That year, we went 12-0, and we were undefeated in the regular season, number 1 team in the country the whole year. We get to the SEC championship, and it's 1 versus 2, us versus Alabama, and the game means everything. We know it's the championship game. We know it's the national championship game, to be honest with you, because we're the 2 best teams in the country, and we lose. And I put so much work and everything into this, and yeah, I know I'm competitive, but it was more than that. So we lose, and it affects me, it affects my identity, it affects what defined me, it affected who I was. That next week where I was a freaking terrible person and was so mad and bitter and upset, and that weekend we had the awards in Orlando, Florida for the college football awards, and the night before the red carpet and the award ceremony, there's a banquet that everyone has to go to, and so I'm sitting there in the main table right up here, and they're doing different things and bringing some of the Alabama players and the Texas players who are going to play in the championship. I'm up on the dais, and I'm sitting there just so ready to puke watching this. And I'm sitting there in such a bad place, in such a bad mood, so disappointed, so mad, so upset about life, so disappointed in life. And finally, one of the waitresses, she comes and she taps me on my shoulder and she says, "Hey, Timmy, there's a young girl who has driven from Virginia. Her and her family have driven from Virginia to see you. Meanwhile, we're in Orlando, Florida. That's a long way. She's driven from Virginia to see you. Any chance that you would walk to the back and say hey to her?" I said, "Of course." So I get up there, I walk to the back of the room, and they open the doors, and in comes walking a young girl named Kelly Fawn. And Kelly has overcome more in her life than I could have ever overcome. She's had brain tumors, and she has tremors, and she has cerebral palsy, and she has so many things that she has to fight every single day. And she sees me, and she's fighting to take the next step. And it's a challenge just to take the next step. And finally, she gets to me, and she gives me a huge hug, and it's definitely probably like a 2-3 minute hug, and she's just squeezing me, and it's one of the best hugs I've ever had. And then she starts crying, then I start crying, and her family starts crying, and my family starts crying, and no one's even said a word. And then I start to talk to Kelly, and I hear her story, and I just felt like it was put on my heart to ask her to be my date the next night for the red carpet and the award ceremony, and she thankfully said yes. And so the next morning, my uncle took her out to get her a fancy dress, and it was amazing. That night we went to dinner, and it was so much fun, and we laughed the whole time. And then we went to the red carpet, and it was so much fun, and we laughed, and it was just the best time as we went down the red carpet, and everyone was high-fiving us, and it was so fun. And we get into the award ceremony, and we're literally sitting on row 1, seat 1, me and her, and then her family's beside us, and my family's right behind us, and it was amazing. It was amazing, and you know why it was amazing? Is for the first time, and I don't know how long, I stopped thinking about myself, and I started thinking about somebody else. And when I met Kelly, everything changed, because she was able to flip the switch for me. And when I was thinking about Kelly and her joy and her time and her fun and about her, then everything else for me, the disappointment, the bitterness, the frustration, all of it went away instantly. So we're sitting there on row 1, seat 1, and I was up for 6 awards that night. the most I had been for any of the award ceremonies, and they announced the first award and I lose. And I'm like, oh, it's okay, it doesn't even matter. Tonight's about Kelly, no problem. They announced the second award and I lose. And I'm like, all right, that stings a little bit more, but it's fine, it's about Kelly. They announced the third award and I lose. And okay, this one hurts a little bit more, but it's fine, it's about Kelly. And they announced the fourth award and I lose. They announced the fifth award and I lose. And the frustration and the bitterness and the disappointment and everything that was focused on me and mine was building up again. And they're getting ready to announce the sixth award. And my mom's sitting right behind me. She leans up and she whispers in my ear. She says, Timmy, it's all right. You've already won tonight. You just don't get your award till heaven. What was she talking about? A silly college football award that genuinely I couldn't even tell you to this day what it was for. I have no idea. But what mattered at that time was not this college football award, it was Kelly. But you know what, guys? So many times in life we get caught up in what we think matters the most at the time. But that's why we have to keep into perspective truly what matters. And that's the people around us. And you know, it's awesome to be here to share about leadership. But leadership isn't about status, and it's not about position. I've been around a lot of powerful people, and no one follows them. Nobody. They just have a position, but no one follows them. And I've been around a lot of people that have never been given a great position, but they're great and they're powerful because everyone wants to follow them, because they make people believe in themselves, and they're a servant leader. And everybody says, man, I got your back. I want to follow you. No matter where you go, I'm following you. So if you want to be a leader, one, you're going to serve the people around you. You're going to make them believe in themselves. You're going to make them believe in you. And you're going to do that because you care more than anybody else. When you show up every day, they know that you love them, that you love the cause, and you're passionate about it, whether you feel good or not. And when you show up every day, you are willing to sacrifice. And let me tell you, you will be different, you will be contagious, and people will want to be around you. So what will make you a great leader? It's not that you have every answer. It's not that you are the perfect dressed. It's not that you have the most social media friends. It's not. It's you have something they want. That's love, that's belief, that's passion, it's sacrifice, and it's contagious. And so if you want to lead your friends, if you want to lead a company, if you want to lead a university, you show up every day and you have those qualities and watch how it affects the people around you. Because I'm telling you, you will make a difference in other people's lives for the better. Guys, thank you so much for having me. God bless you guys. Thank you.